From Genesis chapter 21, the story of Abraham. V'Avraham ben me'ah shana, v'hivaled lo et Yitzchak beno. V'tomer Sarah, tzachok asali Elohim. Kol hashomea Yitzchak li. V'tomer mi milel le'Avraham. Henika banim Sarah, ki yaladati ben lizkunav. Vayigdal hayeled, vayigamel, vayas Avraham mishte gadol, bayom higamel et Yitzchak. Vatere Sarah et ben Hagar hamitzrit, asher yalda leAvraham, metzachek. Vatomer leAvraham, garesh et ha'ama hazot ve'et bena, ki lo yirash ben ha'ama hazot im beni im Yitzchak. Vayera hadavar me'od be'enei Avraham al odot beno. Vayomer Elohim el Avraham al yera be'enecha al hadavar al hana'ar ve'al amatcha kol asher tomar alecha Sarah shema b'kola כי ביצחק יקרא לך זרע, וגם את בן האמה לגוי אשימנו, כי זרעך הוא. וישכם אברהם בבוקר, ויקח לחם וחמת מים, וייתן אל הגר, שם על שכמה, ואת הילד, וישלחך, ותלך, ותתה במדבר באר שבע. ויאכלו המים מן החמת, ותשלח את הילד תחת אחד השיחים, ותלך ותשב לה מנגד הרחק כמתחווה קשת. כי אמרה לה אל אראה במות הילד, ותשב מנגד ותישא את קולה ותבק. וישמע אלוהים את קול הנער, ויקרא מלאך אלוהים אל הגר מן השמיים. ויאמר לה, מה לך הגר, אל תראי, כי שמע אלוהים את קול הנער באשר הוא שם. קומי, שאי את הנער, והחזיקי את ידך בו, כי לגוי גדול אשימנו. ויפקח אלוהים את עיניה, ותראה באר מים, ותלך, והימלא את החמת מים, ותשק את הנער. ויהי אלוהים את הנער, ויגדל, וישב במדבר, ויהי רובע קשת. וישב במדבר פרען, ותיקח לו אמה, אישה, Me'eretz Mitzrayim. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Sarah said, God has made me laugh. Everyone who hears will laugh with me. She said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? For I have borne him a son in his old age. The child grew and was weaned. Abraham made a great feast on the day that Isaac was weaned. Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, mocking. Therefore she said to Abraham, cast out this servant and her son, for the son of this servant will not be heir with my son, Isaac. The thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight on account of his son. God said to Abraham, don't let it be grievous in your sight because of the boy and because of your servant. In all that Sarah says to you, listen to her voice, for your offspring will be named through Isaac. I will also make a nation of the son of the servant, because he is your child. Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a container of water and gave it to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder, and gave her the child and sent her away. She departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. The water in the container was spent, and she put the child under one of the shrubs. She went and sat down opposite him a good way off, about a bowshot away. For she said, "Do not let me see the death of the child." She sat opposite him and lifted up her voice and wept. God heard the voice of the boy. The angel of God called out to Hagar out of the sky and said to her, "What troubles you, Hagar? Don't be afraid, for God has heard the voice of the boy where he is. Get up, lift up the boy and hold him with your hand, for I will make him a great nation." God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. She went, filled the container with water, and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy, and he grew. He lived in the wilderness, and as he grew up, he became an archer. He lived in the wilderness of Paran. His mother got a wife for him out of the land of Egypt. Stories in the Torah are literature, not history. Yet we should never say that they are just a story. Myths define a culture's sense of self, its values and foundations. We must also remember that what people think happened is more impactful than what actually happened. Beliefs and facts are different. This passage is part of the traditional Torah reading for the first day of Rosh Hashanah, a preface to the binding of Isaac read on the second day. A God who can provide a child to a 90-year-old woman can certainly judge your deeds and write you in a book of life. In a national saga or religious scripture, no character is just a character. While the Torah celebrates Isaac, the Quran claims that Ishmael or Ismail, the mythical ancestor of the Arabs, was the favored son. These competing claims are one more point of conflict between the traditions, and no less bitter because the ancient story is just a story. Which tradition does Sky Father love more? Is the Dome of the Rock on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem a Jewish site or a Muslim site? It depends on which son of Abraham was most beloved and almost sacrificed there. The Torah, or at least Sarah, emphasizes Hagar's lower status as a servant and connects Hagar to the wilderness and to the implacable enemy, Egypt. Both her own identity and Ishmael's wife is Egyptian. You may have also noticed the repeated allusions to a bow, both a weapon of war and a tool for hunting. Yet does who Hagar is justify what Abraham does? After all, stories in the Torah are literature and not history. Literature is an exploration of the human condition, our hopes and fears and rivalries and failures. After Isaac's weaning, Sarah's emotional attachment shifts from caring for a nursing baby to concern for the future of her growing son and his future inheritance. Sarah laughs joyfully at Isaac's arrival. His Hebrew name Yitzchak comes from the root for laughter. Yet laughter can cut both ways, building community or creating enmity. When Sarah sees Isaac's half-brother Ishmael mitzachek, laughing or mocking, she assumes Ishmael is laughing at Isaac rather than laughing with him. In typical terse biblical style, the word could be read multiple ways. There may also be a latent romantic rivalry, as she emphasizes Hagar's servitude to Abraham while demanding that servant and her son, that is not Abraham's son, that they be expelled. This is not a modern family, a blended family of divorce and remarriage, step-parents and half-siblings. This is a family with people, so conflict is inevitable. Sarah's zealous protection of her son's future is both cruel and understandable. Yet does that justify what Abraham does, or God's endorsement of Sarah's cruelty? The rivalry here between nations and religions, between the mothers of Abraham's sons, between the sons themselves, It all lands on Abraham. To his credit, Abraham does not deny that Ishmael is his son, and he is torn by Sarah's request. It says it is very bad in his eyes. But to his shame, Abraham argued with God to save the wicked city of Sodom if only 10 righteous people could be found. And yet here, he does not argue for his own flesh and blood, the firstborn son, Ishmael. Future promises for Ishmael, Abraham's compassion to send them with food and water, Abraham's guilty conscience, even the narrative's empathy for Ishmael's thirst and Hagar's anguish, these are not enough. Sometimes the emotional damage is done, no matter the reason or rationalization offered. It is true that directly after the binding of Isaac, Sarah dies, perhaps from grief at his near-death experience. It is true that many years later, after Abraham's death, Isaac and Ishmael meet to bury their father together. The spaces in between terse biblical narratives give us space to imagine, to create, to project our own possible connections between Isaac and Ishmael over those intervening years. We may also imagine what it would take for Jews and Arabs today to bury their dead for a new tomorrow. Most important, we can use this story to consider our own lives. Are we justified in what we have done? Have we caused harm that we can still correct? Have we defended our own interests at the cost of the welfare of others by cruelty or by indifference? Do we hear people crying out for food or water or for caring and support? And do we answer? This may be just a story. It may also be the story of our lives. I invite you to rise as we return our Torah scroll to the Ark.